Hey dude, you dented my Ford Pinto. How am I gonna take Jenny to see Fasten Your Seatbelts? Hey y'all, I'm Matt, and today we're gonna be talking about being specific. Be specific. Whether you're aiming for comedy or not, specificity gives you power. The more specific you can be, the more vivid your picture will be to your listeners. Every word you choose has a different impact. So recognize this and use this to your advantage. For example, if I tell you that I'm saving up for a car, it gives you some information, but not a ton. If we're already friends and we have context behind it, then you can probably guess what kind of car I'm saving up for. But if we're in a scene, on stage, or at the table, and I guess in this case, probably a more futuristic setting. If I'm getting a car, maybe not so much fantasy D&D. But if we're in those contexts, we might not have that shared history yet. This could be the very first introduction to this character. So then the more specific we can be, the faster we can figure out what's going on with my character. And this helps the other players with their reactions. Namely, if I say I'm saving up for a car, that's fairly mundane. But if I were to say Ford Pinto, that's something specific. And that gives you something to work with. Well, if you know what's up with Ford Pintos. Or if I were to say that I'm saving up for a Lamborghini, that also paints a picture, maybe a very different picture about my character. And that's something you can play with. Let's jump into another example, more specific to D&D. Okay, you walk into the first room of the house and it smells really bad. So there's a lot of possible paths this can take. I want you to recognize here that I don't need you to jump into specificity immediately, especially if you're improvising this situation. Every step gives you more time to think, consider, and decide. So if you start with, it smells really bad, you've narrowed down the field, the possibilities as to what could be going on here. At this point, the players might ask, okay, so what does it smell like? Give me a perception check. Now with that, you've given yourself some time to think. What sorts of bad smells could you find here? The smell of rot and decay? The smell of raw sewage? Maybe the smell of feet that has been working in retail and customer service all day. Each one evokes a different emotion, but it all started from the decision of saying, it smells really bad in here. You can use this specificity when describing your character too. For example, armor can be very general in D&D. The mechanics give you a specific type of armor, say leather, chain, hide, plate. But then you have the freedom to be as specific as you want to paint a clearer picture of what your character values, or maybe your background. Maybe the plate mail is polished and pristine. That may suggest that your character is new to the fray, to fighting, and has yet to use it. Or it may be that your character has taken exceptional care of it, really focusing in on cleaning, maintaining in the moments after a battle. Or it may be that your character is so wealthy and wasteful that after every mission, your character will discard their armor and buy a new set for the next one. Regardless of which one, whether it's one of those three or if you've come up with another one. And if you have, drop them in the comments. I would love to see what other justifications you may have found for this character's plate mail being polished and pristine. But remember that this all started from one specific detail. And from there, you had the chance to delve a little bit deeper into this character, giving you more to work with. And this also helps the players around you. An NPC or even a fellow player might see this polished and pristine plate mail and remark on it. Looks like we got a newbie here. And then we can get into some back and forth roleplay that might give us a little more insight into the character. You can do this with actions as well. Movement is fairly standard, so you can find ways to describe how your character moves from place to place that can immediately set the tone, set the scene for how this character behaves. Maybe you casually strut over to the bar, scanning the tavern and making eye contact with people along the way. That may suggest a level of confidence. Maybe this character is the type who's looking for late night companionship, or it may suggest a need to establish dominance in the area, to show everyone who's the big dog. Or it may be more investigative, as your character is looking for any suspicious looks, any hints of nefarious intent within people's eyes, even any nervousness that might suggest shady dealings as they give the bar an interrogatory glance. You can make the decision of describing, saying that this is how my character is going to move to the bar, and then figure out the reason along the way. This gives your fellow players the chance to react as they see your character moving like this, and even gives your DM something to react to as well as the NPCs around, especially if this is the first impression of this character at the table. If you want to, you can even describe this internal motivation as yourself, giving everyone around a little meta sneak peek into how your character operates, which in turn gives everyone, as well as the DM, more to play with. So that was just a brief overview about specificity. I hope that will help you at your table. If you like this, please like it. If you have any questions or want me to go further in depth or have another topic you'd like me to cover when it comes to improv and D&D, please leave a comment. If you like this content and you want to see more, then please subscribe. But until next time, take care.